Go.
Checking the overall condition of my vehicle. All lights and reflectors are clean, functional, not broken. My headlights are clear. My turn signals, reflectors, clean sights of amber. There's no puddles underneath my vehicle. My engine and transmission have no fluids dripping from the underside. My water pump is properly mounted, secured, operates properly, is not damaged, is not leaking, and belt driven. The belt deflects no more than half to 3/4 of an inch when pushed by hand. The belt is not worn, cracked, or frayed. My alternator is properly mounted and secured, operates properly, is not damaged, there is no loose wires. It is belt driven. The belt deflects no more than half to 3/4 of an inch when pushed by hand. The belt is not worn, cracked, or frayed. My engine hoses are in good condition. They are not damaged and they are not leaking. My engine oil is at a safe operating level above the refill and is checked by dipstick. My water coolant reservoir is at a safe operating level above the refill and is checked by sight glass or by removing the cap. My power steering reservoir is at a safe operating level above the refill and is checked by sight glass or by dipstick. My power steering pump is properly mounted and secured, operates properly, is not damaged, is not leaking, and is gear driven. My air compressor is properly mounted and secured, operates properly, is not damaged, along with my air governor. It is not leaking and it is gear driven. My steering gearbox and hoses are properly mounted and secured. No loose, missing nuts or bolts. It is not damaged, it is not leaking. My steering linkage has no loose, missing nuts or bolts or cotter keys. My arms, links, rods, joints, and sockets are not loose, cracked, or worn. My suspension mounts are properly mounted and secured. No missing or damaged bushings. My spring hangers are not bent, broken, cracked, or dented. My leaf springs are not bent, broken, cracked, or dented. They are not shifted. They are not missing. My U-bolts and other axle mounting parts are properly mounted and secured. No broken, loose, or missing parts. My shock absorber is properly mounted and secured. It is not leaking. My brake hoses and fittings are properly mounted and secured. Not worn, cracked, or frayed. Are not leaking and can supply air. My brake chambers are properly mounted and secured. They are not bent, broken, cracked, or dented. There is no loose or missing clamps. They are not leaking. My slack adjusters and push rods are properly mounted and secured. No broken, loose, or missing parts. My push rod is adjusted to no more than 1 inch when pulled by hand with the brakes released. My brake linings and drums have no cracks, dents, or holes. My brake linings are not worn dangerously thin, and there is no loose, missing nuts or bolts, and they are free of debris, oil, and grease. My steer tire tread depth is at least 4/32 of an inch. It is evenly worn. There is no damage or cuts to the tread or sidewalls. My air pressure is checked with an air gauge at the valve stem. My valve stem and caps have no broken, loose, or missing parts. My rims inside and out are not bent, broken, cracked, or dented. They are not damaged and have no illegal welds. My lug nuts have no missing lug nuts. There is no shiny spots or rust trails to indicate loose lug nuts. There is no cracks or distortions around the bolt holes. My hub seals are not leaking. They are at a safe operating level above the refill and are checked by sight glass or by removing the cap. My fuel tank is properly mounted and secured. It is not leaking from the tank. My cap is tight and it is not leaking from the cap. My driver's door mirrors and brackets are properly mounted and secured. No loose fittings. My driver door is not damaged. It opens smoothly. My door hinges are properly mounted and secured. My door seal is intact. It closes securely. My window is not damaged and is clean. My emergency equipment I have a properly mounted and secured and fully charged fire extinguisher. I have 3 reflective triangles and spare fuses. The side of my cab, marker lights and turn signals are clean, functional, not broken, and are amber in color. My catwalk and steps are properly mounted and secured to the frame. They are not damaged, they are solid, and they are free of debris. My tractor frame and cross members have no cracks, dents, or holes. They are not damaged. They have no broken welds, and there is no loose or missing cross members. My drive shaft is not bent, broken, cracked, or dented. It is not twisted. My U-joints are properly mounted and secured and are free of debris. I will check my air and electrical lines the same as I do on my tractor, or as I would do on my tractor, I do the same for my trailer. My air and electrical lines are not worn, cut, spliced, taped, leaking, pinched, crimped, tangled, dragging, or chafing on any part. My connectors and fittings are firmly sealed. They are not damaged. They are not leaking. My glad hands are locked in place. They are not damaged. They are not leaking. My electrical plug and cap is firmly seated and locked in place. The front of my trailer has no cracks, dents, or holes. It is secure. It is strong enough to hold cargo. There is no bulges. It is not damaged, and there is no missing rivets. My clearance lights are clean, functional, not broken, and they are amber in color. My trailer apron is not bent, broken, cracked, or dented. There is no gap between my trailer and my fifth wheel. My skid plate is properly mounted and secured and properly lubricated. My slide cylinder and lines are not leaking. My platform base is properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or dented. My mounting bolts, there is no loose, missing nuts or bolts or clamps, and it is securely fastened to the brackets. My trailer release arm is in the locked position. My kingpin is not bent, broken, cracked, or dented. My locking jaws are closed around the shank of the kingpin. My locking pins have no loose or missing pins and are in the locked position. My fifth wheel is positioned so that my landing gear will not contact my mud flaps in turns. The rear of my tractor lights are clean, functional, and not broken. My tail lights are red. My reflectors are red. My reflective tape is clean and affixed. I would check my suspension mounts, leaf springs, U-bolts, and shock absorbers, my brake hoses and fittings, brake chambers, slack adjusters and push rods, brake linings and drums, my tires, rims, lug nuts, and valve stems, the same as I did the front of my tractor, except my torque arms are properly mounted and secured, not damaged. My airbags are not damaged, not leaking. My airbag brackets, mounts, brackets, bolts, and bushings are properly mounted and secured. They are not damaged. They are not broken. My disc wheels are evenly spaced, not damaged, free of debris. My tire tread depth is at least 2/32 of an inch of tread. My axle seals are not leaking. My mud flaps are properly mounted and secured and not damaged. inside of my trailer is not damaged. There's no cracks, dents, or holes. There's no bulges, and there's no missing rivets. My clearance lights are clean. My clearance and marker lights are clean, functional, and not broken, and they are amber in color. My reflective tape is clean and affixed. My landing gear and pads are properly mounted and secured. No broken, loose, or missing parts. There is no structural damage. My landing gear is in the fully raised position, and my handle is secure. I would check my trailer frame and cross members the same as I did my tractor frame and cross members, except there is no holes or damage in the trailer floor or the box. I would check my suspension mounts, leaf springs, U-bolts, and torque arms. My brake hoses and fittings, brake chambers, slack adjusters and push rods, linings and drums, my tires, rims, lug nuts, and valve stems, plus my disc wheels, hub seals, and mud flaps, the same as I did on my tractor. My trailer door is not damaged. It opens and closes and latches securely. The back of my trailer lights are clean, functional, and not broken. My tail lights are red, my reflectors are red, my clearance lights are red, and my reflective tape is clean and affixed. I will check the passenger side of my vehicle the same as I did the driver's side, except for my muffler, heat shield, and stack. So my muffler, my heat shield, and my stack are properly mounted and secured. No loose, missing nuts or bolts or clamps. Is tightly connected. Is not bent, broken, cracked, or dented. Has no carbon buildup to indicate leaks or holes.